Okay, let's look down here now at conditional relative frequency. Relative means percent. Frequency means how often does it occur. But we're not going to be giving a numerical value. We're going to be giving a percentage of the time that it occurs. A conditional relative frequency gives the percent or proportion of individuals that have a specific quality about them. Remember, we're not talking qualitative data, we're talking categorical, but it makes sense to use that term. So, conditional relative frequency. What do they mean by conditional? The condition is that you never used a snowmobile. The condition is that you are an environmental club member. Whatever that condition is being put on to that individual. So, gives the percent or proportion of individuals that have a specific value for one categorical variable among individuals who share the same value in another categorical variable or in a condition. So, for example, what is the conditional relative frequency of environmental club members who own snowmobiles? We're only looking at environmental club members for this conditional. Okay. So, environmental club members who own a snowmobile. We're only looking at environmental club members who own a snowmobile. So now the total is not 1526 anymore, not for a conditional frequency. The total is either the row or the column total. So for the environmental club members who own a snowmobile, we're only looking at environmental club members, 305. Of those, 16 own snowmobiles. And remember what this word relative means. When we see relative, we need to say, uh-oh, I need to do a percent. So let me grab my friend here, the calculator, and figure out what is 16 divided by 305. Oh, about 5%. So the conditional relative frequency of environmental club members who own a snowmobile is approximately 5%. That is an example of a conditional relative frequency. And it could be of people who have never used a snowmobile, what's the conditional relative frequency that they're a member of the environmental club? So then we would change this and the condition would be that you must have never used a snowmobile. So now the denominator is 657. Of those who have never used a snowmobile, how many of them are members of the environmental club? 212. And again, it's relative, so we'd have to go back and find the percentage. All right, now here's some other ways that we could display categorical variables. Well, we already looked at a bar graph. Now, sometimes it makes sense to put these next to each other, or what we'll call a side-by-side bar graph. Okay? So we're looking at the same data that we just looked at from the two-way table a moment ago. We're looking at a side-by-side bar graph that it's a relative, it's in percentages, it's not in counts. The bars are grouped together based on the values of that one categorical variable. So we're looking at this in terms of environmental club membership. Yes or no? Yeah, I'm in the environmental club. Okay, now do you own a snowmobile? So if you're in the environmental club and you own a snowmobile, you'd be this short little green bar right here. The red bar would be your environmental club member who rent your snowmobile. The blue bar would be an environmental club member who's never used a snowmobile, and so on. The diagram B is showing the exact same thing. Okay, so if you look at this blue here, it goes up to this blue here. So this bar goes straight to there. And then this red has been added on top. This is called a segmented bar graph. The segmented bar graph simply takes these bars here and stacks them on top of one another. Now we're going to talk a lot this year about this word association. There is an association between two variables if knowing the value of one can help us predict the other. So if we know the value of one of the variables, does it help us predict the value of the other? If not, then there is no association between these two variables. So the question might be, does there appear to be an association between environmental club membership and snowmobile use? And I would say, yes, there does appear to be an association. If you are a member of the environmental club, meaning yes, here, you are a member of the environmental club, you are far more likely to have never used a snowmobile. Makes sense. If you're hugging trees, you're probably not out riding around on a snowmobile. So there is an association between these two categorical variables, because if I know that you're a member of the environmental club, it helps me predict your snowmobile use.